Hello and welcome to tonight's Sunday Night League. Here we are in sunny Japan for round 7 at the Autopolis circuit. This is one of the first circuits we have in a long list of real-world circuits that we'll be racing on in the coming weeks. So ahead of today, we will be seeing a new driver, Paleshi, making their debut for Williams following the injury of GDE Trust. Today's tyres are the mandatory tyre is the hard compound and softs for both manufacturers. So typically we do see a different compounds per the Michelin and Bridgestone teams, but on this very rare occasion, both teams have the same compounds available to them, that being the hards and the softs. We will see how these two very varying tyres play off against each other. Now, weather is expecting to be quite good today. It's about the middle of the day, and we've got 52 laps ahead of us, each lap being 2.9 miles and totaling of 19 corners. We had quite an exciting Porsche Cup race at the shortcut circuit even, of the Autopolis circuit. So we'll see how we get on with the Formula X series. Now we've got quite a long straight down to the first corner. We saw quite a number of overtakes being made going into that first corner. And with a number of more drivers we've got on today, currently 8 at the moment. We'll see if we get any few more. We'll see whether we have any daring lunges going into that first corner. Apologise in advance if we do have any technical difficulties during the race start. There's been a 5-minute delay, so we'll be starting at 8:35. In the meantime, we'll take a look at the championship tables. At the moment, we still have Matt Psycho in first after the 2 worst round scores dropped. So your 2 worst races, whether you didn't turn up to them or you just did particularly poorly compared to how you usually do, those 2 scores are dropped from your total. This does mean that Matt Psycho is currently in first, although no longer racing for Aston Martin, which means that really Cthulhu we have racing for the Red Bull is at the moment in the championship second with 91 points. Very close behind them is Little's GP and the Ferrari with 89 points, and then a little bit behind them we have SNL Jam, the Alpine, with 78 in 4th, and then 5th we have Noxie of the Williams with 68. Then it is Alexis Maximus with 53, and Tullio and GT Racer both with 43 points. Before we get to Jacques Jajar in 9th with 37. CRL Digweeds is 10th with 26 points. And then very close together, we've got Pheasant Plucker with 24 points, Digital Blasphemy with 23, Guesty with 22, and Tommy Paynes with 21. So quite the closely tight-knit pack there. We'll be waiting to see what happens after today's race. Looking down the rest of the group though, we do have CSL Wolfbane in 15th at the moment with 18 points. VRC Jim of the Red Bull with 17 points in 16th. And then 17th we got I'm Stoop in the Alpine with 14. Joint 18th we got Pats 96 and GDE Trust with 12 points. And bringing up the rear we've got OKC Ranger with 6 points. This does mean that our Constructors title championship at the moment looks like Red Bull is in first place with 160 points, but not by much, because Aston Martin are in second with 156, and then Alpine in third with 140, Ferrari with 134, McLaren with 121, Mercedes with 96, and Williams with 80. So the Constructors' Championship is still very much all to play for, with the top 3 teams all within about 20 points of each other. And certainly the Drivers' Championship is being kept alive, and is certainly all to play for still. At the moment, Cthulhu is looking like they could be back at the top, be at the top of the championship by the end of today's race if they do well enough. At the moment, in this practice before the race starts, they've got the fastest lap of a 122.1. So I'll be intrigued to see how they start with that and whether they can keep that that pace up going into the race. Now looking at the starting grid, starting in pole position today will be, providing they join, we will have Tommy Payne should be starting in first, then Jacques Jajar in second, GT Racer will start in third, Digital Blasphemy in fourth, Pheasant Plucker in fifth, CRL Digweed in sixth, Alexis Maximus in seventh, Noxie in eighth, CSL Wolfbane in ninth, SNL Jam will start in 10th, Guesty will start in 11th, 12th will be Little's GP, 13th is Cthulhu, and Paleshi will start in 14th. So we've just got the stewards asking whether everybody is ready to go. We will wait for all the drivers to confirm they are ready to get this show underway, and we'll begin the race. Do need to watch out for that first corner. I suspect we may see quite a number of daring lunges going into the first corner. Hopefully we don't quite see the level of carnage we did at Spa, but only one way to find out. And here we are, back in Japan for round 7 of the Sunday Night League Formula X race. Here we are at the Autopolis Racing Circuit. Welcome one and all, and we'll see how tonight's race will end. Championship certainly all still left to play for. We've got Tommy Payne's on pole at the moment with Jacques Jajar making second place. Wait for the lights to go out. And away we go. So Tommy Payne's bit of a slow start there. Jacques Jajar getting a great start in that Ferrari. Takes first place from Tommy Payne's, who slips in behind, try and get that draft down. But it looks like Pheasant Plucker in the McLaren takes the inside line there. Oh, a little bit of carnage we've just got going on at the back of the grid there. I think we've had a few wobblies. Oh, that was quite the barge we had from that Mercedes. And the McLaren looking further down the line. We've got an Aston Martin of Tommy Payne's, who had started on pole, has spun round and gone out. Not sure what's happened with them. Let's have a bit of a look down the order at what on earth, what happened there. They started on pole. So they've been nudged by the Mercedes, it seems. Yeah, they just nudged by that Mercedes. Not sure who they are, but we might see a steward's inquiry into that one. At the moment, though, Pheasant Plucker sticking in first position. Jacques Jajar started in second, holds on to second, had a great start off the line, but managed to lose out after a very daring overtake from Pheasant Plucker going into turn 1. We've got Digweed up into third, Digital Blasphemy in fourth, with Cthulhu already up into 5th place. Cthulhu doing very well, started down in 13th and is already up into 5th after the first lap. They'll be wanting to make sure they keep this level of effort up throughout the rest of the race. Now we're only on lap 2 of 52 races, still plenty ahead. We'll see also how the tyre strategy plays off later down the line. At the moment, I don't think any of the drivers are starting on that hard tyre. So we've got the Mercedes there of Alexis Maximus, with Guesty in the Aston Martin just behind them, losing out on that position. Guesty does, and drops down to 8th. A number of the drivers here now sort of falling back into rhythm. we've got a couple of drivers actually that have fallen quite far behind. Not sure what's happened to GT Racer. We did see Tommy Paynes go off after having an incident with one of the Mercedes and getting sent into the gravel. We'll see whether they can make a bit of a recovery drive, but they did fortunately start on the hard tyre, so that may be enough to bring them back in later down the line if they can go for that not so much the undercut, rather the overcut even, as they try and stay out for as long as possible on that hard tyre. They may need to make a fuel. Ooh, Pheasant Plucker taking a little bit too much speed, I think, through that last corner. Ends up running wide and goes onto the grass. They would have certainly lost a lot of speed through there. Now their gap to second place is a 1.9 second. That's not a lot in these Formula X cars. It doesn't mean a whole world of difference. But I think, looking back down the thing, only Tommy Paynes at the moment starting with that hard compound tyre, probably trying to get it out the way early on so they can focus on just sticking to the softs for the rest of the race. Oh, looks like, I think, Cthulhu having a bit of a glitch there as the Noxie of the Williams seemingly drove through them. But yeah, not. Or could it be Noxie? Not sure, but both cars there seemingly very inseparable. Not sure what's going on. They appear to be absolutely glued together. Joint at the hip even, as they're side by side in every single corner going around the back of the circuit here. Cthulhu managing to hold off Noxie at the end of it though, keeping hold of 5th position. Not sure which of these drivers has got the glitch, but we have seen Cthulhu in previous races having some sort of incident. Fortunately, not leaving the race and managing to continue racing. They do just seem to glitch all over the track. Now let's jump back to the front of the grid. We've got Pheasant Plucker under attack from Digweed in the Red Bull. Cthulhu still up into 4th, but they are being chased down. Noxie and Cthulhu have been split by Digital Blasphemy, the Mercedes. We've got 2 Mercedes there, Digital Blasphemy and Alexis Maximus in 5th and 7th. Could be playing quite nicely between each other. The gap that Pheasant Plucker had here, I said it wasn't a large gap. They only had 1.9 seconds. It's not much for these Formula X cars. Now down to 0.9. Was 0.6 a second ago with Digweed in the Red Bull behind. That Red Bull, as we saw in Japan a little while back before, when we were on the Tokyo Expressway, those Red Bulls are very competitive. They certainly, particularly this Digweed driver, seems to be a pretty formidable driver. I'm wondering whether, so we take a look at the tyre wear already, that Red Bull seems to be a bit kinder on the tyres. I don't know whether Pheasant Plucker having to work a bit more on those tyres has worn them off a bit more. No, we've got Digweed makes a lunge down the inside, nice and clean, takes 1st position. We'll see whether they actually open that gap up. They were already closing down on Pheasant Plucker a long while back. Ooh, Pheasant Plucker just running the curb out there as the other Red Bull of Cthulhu has now made it up into 3rd place. Interestingly, Jacques Jajar has dropped, was in 2nd, started in 2nd, managed to hold on to it after the 1st lap. Now down into 4th though, so both at Red Bulls once again doing quite well, 1st and 3rd. We've got the Mercedes of Digital Blasphemy just takes the inside line there, and that Williams of Noxie tries to have a look in on Jacques Jajar shortly before they shut the door and say, yeah, I'll let this guy through, but not happening for you, mate. You've got to work for it a bit more. The Williams has got a bit more grunt down the straights than the Ferrari, as we've seen in previous races. Also, Jacques Jajar's fronts are looking a bit worse for wear already this early. So I'm wondering whether that Ferrari is just a bit too hard on those tyres. As we come down the start-finish, yeah, if we look, we've got... I thought they were going to go into the pits there for a second. I think Jacques Chazal was trying to break the draft of the Williams. Not successfully doing it though. Noxie just launches around the outside, takes that slipstream and really utilizes it and smashes all the way around. Cthulhu now up into second. Can we go back and see if we can see the overtake? No, we can't. It's a bit too far behind, unfortunately. But both Red Bulls, we now got Red Bull 1 and 2. Although Digweed, it seems, having a bit of a technical glitch here as they seem all over the track. Hopefully this doesn't ruin their race. It could be okay for the driver's perspective, but in terms of us spectating here, it does look like they're having a little bit of whiplash maybe as we go through. We'll see how this ends up. At the moment though, as we were saying, a 1-2 Red Bull after 6 laps of our 52-lap race at the Autopolis. Now Pheasant Plucker, having dropped almost 2.8, almost 3 seconds now, down into 3rd position. So those Red Bulls have certainly got that formidable pace that they had in qualifying does translate well into the race pace. Looking a bit further down the line, I think we've got the Williams of Paleschi there going round the outside of Jacques Chazal, utilising that slipstream once again. I think we're going to see this a lot throughout the course of the race, is drivers who are behind coming into the beginning of that start-finish straight are really going to be biding their time, hanging behind as close as possible, and then just using that slipstream to sling hook them round on the start finish. And bit of a correction there from Jacques Chazal. They just got their wheel on the grass there and it sent the back end out a little bit. They did have to do some correction. Quite a deep line there. I think that maybe is not the best line through there, as the Aston Martin of Guesty takes that position. What a great overtake there from Guesty, who's now up into seventh place. But they're not far out of it yet, as Jacques Chazal and SNL Jam are fighting behind. They're not even behind, although Guesty making quite a bit of distance there. So let's go back on board with our 2 Red Bulls in 1st and 2nd now. Both have opted for the soft tyre to start on. At the moment, Cthulhu is in the lead for the championship. Currently 2nd, could see them taking 1st in the championship, taking that lead. Will we see any team orders for Digweed to allow Cthulhu to go through? At the moment, the fastest lap from Cthulhu is a 1:23.2, but the fastest lap for the race as well is held by Digweed at the moment, which is a 1:23.1. Although their last few laps have been a 1:24 compared to the Cthulhu, who's also set a 1:24. So they both seem quite equally weighted. They may not need to, although there's not a lot of pressure. They gap now 6.5 seconds to 3rd place, but both Williams. So not only we've got both Red Bulls in 1st and 2nd, we've got both Williams, the Williams of Noxie and Paleschi. Bearing in mind that it is Paleschi's debut, I believe, today, in 3rd and 4th. So this is going to do absolute wonders for the Williams team, who are currently down in 7th in the championship, but they're not too far behind the Mercedes. And the Mercedes drivers are currently sitting 6th, and I'm not sure where Alexis Maximus has disappeared to. Down in 10th is Alexis Maximus. They were riding quite high, but yeah, looking at the state of their tyres, I think they may have had 1 or 2 offs, and their tyres are really struggling at the moment, particularly of how far behind they are. Almost 14 seconds behind Jacques Chazal, who is in 9th place at the moment. So after 9 laps of this race. We've got Digweed in first, Cthulhu in second, Noxie in third, with Paleshi following in fourth. Making up the top 4 positions are the Red Bulls and the Williams. But then we've got the Aston Martin of Guesty in fifth, not letting them out of their sight, only 1.4 seconds behind Paleshi. So they're not quite out of sight yet, but their softs are looking pretty worse for wear at the moment. I think everyone is more or less in the same situation. Could we see Pheasant Plucker's tyres, particularly those fronts, really looking like they need to come in and maybe get them changed? I'm not sure. They could find that with some of these tyres, though, the longer you leave them, they seem to switch back on again after falling off a cliff. It's quite some interesting tyre dynamics they've got going on. But if we just stay on board, maybe not dropping into the pits. We do see Noxie and Digweed, though, both jumping into the pits, leaving the Red Bull and the Williams of Cthulhu and Paleshi out in front. Jacques Chachard also joining to the pits. Ooh, looks like SNL Jam there has had a bit of a spin. If we go back, I think we go on board here. So they're chasing down the back of the McLaren there, Pheasant Plucker. Got a bit of a lock-up from Pheasant Plucker. I think SNL Jam was trying to make sure that he had that outside line available to them in case Pheasant Plucker anything happened, as he did see them lock up. But unfortunately, they themselves ended up going off into the gravel. I think they just got one wheel out there. It was a bit too much, and it spun them right round. So Cthulhu now out in first, but some half-worn tyres there. And Paleshi in second. The Aston Martin gets we've got Digital Blasphemy has gone for an absolute ride there. I'm not sure what has happened here. So currently following behind Guesty, going down the straight, comes up to the right-hander. I think just takes a bit too much speed there. So tricky with this. Just gets that rear left out over the edge of the curb. Sends the back end spinning out a bit more, tries to correct, ends up overcorrecting, I think, and takes out. I think they've crashed once again as well. This is the problem. There's a ton of damage. That was a massive crash they had there coming off. They traveled quite some significant distance. I think that damage has really gone to them. I think their tyres have also fallen off. They may want to come in, throw a new set of softs on, maybe even throw the hards on. I'm intrigued to see whether any of the drivers will go for that long game. Left that very late there, trying to get into the pits. We've also got Pheasant Plucker in for the pits as well. And I believe Cthulhu has also dropped behind. Not sure what's happened with Cthulhu. They were up in first, but they've now dropped back down to third place. So I think they've actually pitted now, whereas Paleshi hasn't pitted. Neither has Guesty. Guesty with their tyres are a bit worse off than Paleshi's. We'll see how they go. Although that Aston Martin was quite kind to its tyres, I suspect they've used their tokens to reduce the weight of that car as much as possible, so they can get a lot more distance out of the tyres available to them. So as I was just saying before, I'd be surprised, or I'm rather intrigued to see whether any of the drivers, so flashing into the pits now, I'm intrigued to see whether any of the drivers, Guesty follows as well, which means Cthulhu stays out, having already pitted. Now brings them back into first position where they were before. I'm intrigued to see whether any of the drivers will opt for the hard compound and really go for that long distance race. So Tommy Paynes did start on the hard tyre, had a bit of an off, but on the hard tyre may have a long recovery drive ahead of them. We're only 11 laps in. They're going a bit wide there. That's not going to do any good for their recovery drive, unfortunately. They need to play this a lot softer, a lot smarter as well. They don't need. I don't think they need to be pushing the car so much on the hards. They really just need to keep it on track, bide their time, play the long game. Still got many a lap left. It's about 31. No, I can't do maths today. Why would I? 41 laps left even. So they need to play the long game, really use that hard tyre to the end of its life, fill up a couple of times along the way, and maybe, just maybe, later in the race they might make a comeback. There's a number of these drivers who are all opting for the soft tyre at this early stage in the race, may then find that they have to use, because they all have to use both sets of compounds available to them, so that's the soft and the hard, where a lot of these drivers who are currently up front leading are using the soft tyre, will later on, they will have to use the hard, at which point Tommy Payne's already on the hard, can do a little switcheroo, jump on the soft, and might be able to make a lot of positions up. Let's just go back and have a look here. So I think we had a bit of a position overtake. So we've got the Williams of Pelesci behind Jacques Jajar. Not sure what happened there. No, I thought we had a bit of an overtake there. Don't think there was. Pelesci still behind Jacques Jajar, although Pelesci, they're setting a purple sector on their fresh new softs. I am not surprised that they're setting some purple sectors into that sector 1. Sector 1 is predominantly just that very long straight, then down into turn 1, and then another medium straight with a slight kink in it, but you can take a flat out in these Formula X's. There's enough downforce at play, really. Now, 14.8 second lead Cthulhu's built up. We've got about 20 to 30 second pit time, so not safe yet to go for a pit and still come out in first, but they haven't got to pit for a little while. It wouldn't surprise me if they might just want to knock down the engine a little bit, really try and save some of that fuel so they don't have to pit so much later, because obviously quite a portion of the pit stop is taken up by refueling. Let's have a look how the rest of the back markers are doing. So Tommy Payne's down in 12th at the moment, does set a best sector there, nice green. They are very close behind GT Racer at the moment. GT Racer also having opted for the hard tyre to start with. So interesting that both these drivers are at the back, starting on the hard. I have a sneaky suspicion I think both drivers did have a bit of an off early on in the beginning. I know Tommy Payne's did have somewhat of an altercation with Mercedes. I don't know whether the stewards are going to look into that after the race. I'm not sure which of the Mercedes, whether it was Digital Blasphemy or whether it was Alexis Maximus. But I'm sure the drivers will look back over the replays. So if I am correct, I believe that is Cthulhu, who's in first at the moment. Oh, Tommy Payne's just, I think, took that first turn a bit too quickly there. Did they try and go for the lunge? They did. They tried to go for that lunge. Oh, I think unfortunately just the grip for those hard tyres just wasn't there for them. It does mean that they've got a blue flag from Cthulhu. Hopefully that's not ruined Cthulhu's race. Cthulhu's still out in first at the moment. We've got SNL Jam coming into the pits. Oh, their tyres are not going to like that. That's not going to do them any wonders of good if they're going to be lighting up the hards. Really, they want to... Oh, no. I'm not sure what's going on with Tommy Payne's there. Really just seems to be running the maggot. I think with the latest update for the Gran Turismo, once you go off the track, there seems to be quite a bit of dirt or grass or debris that sticks to these tyres for a very long time afterwards, and you can really find it hard, really struggle for grip once you've joined the track. You've got to get a good few solid laps back in the tyres before they come back to life and what the grip you had before. I think some of the drivers are really having to learn that here, particularly as we saw Tommy Payne's there, who on the hard tyre, if they're going for that long game, they want to just play it safe, keep it on the track. They're not there to set any fastest laps, certainly not going to do that on the hard tyre. I'd be surprised if they do. Cthulhu making great full use of the track there. Maybe a little bit too much full use of the track there. Just takes a big grasp with them. We've seen quite a few drivers riding those curbs, and then the curbs suddenly end, and they find themselves in the grass, and yeah, the rear end just wants to spin itself right round, and they end up losing time, and at worst a number of positions just where they've taken a bit too much. So use the curbs by all means, but be very wary that they do bite back. It's a 14-second lead at the moment between first and second. I'm not sure whether Cthulhu is going to be able to open that gap up anymore. At the moment, it's a 1:24 was previously set by Noxie, and it was a 1:24 also set by Cthulhu. Both pretty evenly matched at the moment, the Red Bull and the Williams. We'll have to see how it goes. However, that Williams, very aware, I think, that right behind them, only 1.5 seconds behind them, is the Aston Martin of Guesty. So far at the moment, doing very well in the points is Williams, with Paleshi, the newcomer, up into 4th. So if they can try and keep up this level of performance throughout the rest of the race, we could see Williams jump up into 6th place in the Constructors, ahead of Mercedes. I doubt they're going to reach up into McLaren. McLaren is currently in 5th at the moment with 121 points, and Williams are only on 80 points. I'm not sure if they will be able to score enough to get them that far, but they'll certainly be able to leapfrog Mercedes. Now the Ferrari, who were leading early on in the championship, Ferrari now 5th with Jacques Jajar at the moment. They're currently 4th in the championship, but having to fight for that position. The front softs of Jacques Jajar looking pretty ragged. However, they have done about 17 laps on them. Now, if they can do 17 laps on the soft, maybe a bit more, do we think we could see a one-stop strategy from some of the drivers if they then opt for the hard tyre? I'm not sure if some of these drivers in the much quicker cars really want to go on to the hard tyre. They certainly have to use the hard tyre at some point. They might try and leave it as late as physically possible, and really try and use those softs to set a number of fastest laps throughout the course of the race. But I'm not sure how many laps we can get at. Let's take a look at... So Tommy Payne's, I think, has pitted again because their tyres are looking pretty fresh. I think they got some more fuel in there as well. But the hard tyres of GT Racer, who I don't think has pitted yet, are looking more or less unencumbered at the moment after 17 laps. And if they can get double that amount out of them, that could very well see them till the end of the race. That's not going to do them any good. Just, I think, getting down on the power a bit too early there, and lighting up those rear wheels. So Alexis Maximus, we just saw going into the pits. Noxie and Cthulhu still out in front. Cthulhu's got an 18-second lead at the moment. And Noxie, unfortunately, does have the Aston Martin Guesty right on their tail. I am surprised that we've not seen an overtake yet. Let's just go on board with Guesty as we come around the last few set of corners before we make it onto. So drivers like to take a good late apex maybe here to get enough speed down the back. No, I think Noxie is fortunately just far in front enough of Guesty that they're not able to get any of that slipstream effect, and so can't overtake down that start-finish straight. But tyre degradation is looking pretty comparable. I'm wondering whether any of the top 3 drivers are going to be pitting at some point in the near future. I suspect they may wait until their fuel levels are running out there. What has happened with that Aston Martin? So we've got the Aston Martin, I think maybe of Tommy Payne's. Yeah, we've got blue flag there, so that'll be of Tommy Payne's. desperately trying to get out the way of the Williams. Oh, not sure they're doing quite a good job to get out the way of the Williams there, and unfortunately puts themselves into the wall, and they've received a bit of damage to the front right and front of their car, which isn't going to be great. Again, pushing this car quite hard, Tommy Payne's, and it's seemingly not doing their race strategy any good. If they're on those hards, I'm sure they'll be glad to get rid of those hards as quickly as possible, but it may pay off in the long run. So 20 laps at the moment on the softs from Cthulhu. I reckon we could see a number of drivers doing a one stop, where they do one stint on the softs and another stint on the hard compound. But so yeah, we've got the fuel light of Cthulhu just flashing there, which means they've got less than a lap left in their tank. So I think we can see some drivers doing a one stop strategy, but I probably would expect a number of drivers to be going for the two stop, going for 2 stints on the soft compound and then a very short stint on the hard, just to fulfill that requirement in the rules of using both sets of compounds available to them. So into the pits comes Cthulhu. Now Nocti, who's 21 seconds behind, will have to pit actually, as their fuel light is also flashing at them. The light of Guesty is not, but I suspect once they've started this lap here, ooh, cutting that corner a bit there, I think they got a bit of a wobbly. Guesty at the moment taking first position, but not Cthulhu did have quite the lead. And I think, yeah, we've got Cthulhu coming out of the pit lane there, not far behind, so 5.3 seconds even behind Guesty. With Guesty, who will need to pit, I think, in the next couple of laps, meaning Cthulhu will be back up into first position. Interesting, they've gone for the soft, so I predict they are going to go for that two-stop strategy and throw those hard tyres on at the very last minute, as they managed to do about 21 laps on their original softs they started the race with. If they can get the same level of performance out of these softs, then they've only got to keep those hards on for another 2 laps. And if they can get enough of a lead as they had before, so this will be where the tricky bit comes from. This is they've got to pit for those hards, but they've got to make sure they pit at the right moment that the cars in front of them, such as Guesty here, whose fuel light is now flashing, I suspect they're going to come straight into the pits. Oh no, daring. Guesty has stayed out. Not sure whether that was by mistake with their light flashing, or whether they reckon they can get another lap out of those tyres and knock that fuel down a bit, try and see the rest of this lap out. I suspect the Guesties they're not going to be able to hold back Cthulhu. Cthulhu's on a brand new fresh set of tyres, but I reckon they can get plenty of distance between themselves and Digweed. At the moment, Guesty's got about 26 seconds between themselves and Digweed, which means if they pit, they could come out behind Digweed or just in front. They need to make these softs they've got on them at the moment really work, and I hope they don't run out of fuel beforehand. They're taking a lot of dirt with them. But interestingly, Digweed, oh, we've got a yellow flag going on there. Not sure who that yellow flag is for, but it does appear to have cleared. Digweed still having those glitches, it appears, but they've opted for the hard tyre. They've opted for the hard tyre, but it almost seems like they've either forgotten to refuel, not refueled enough, or this is pretty much their hard stint on those tyres. pretty much done. They'll go as far as they can with the smallest amount of fuel, so they're not wasting as much time in the pit stop. Then throw on the softs and do the rest of the stint. Yeah, so just as they're coming up to the start-finish line, they're actually got the fuel light flashing at them. So they will need to pit this next lap. I wonder whether they will actually throw those softs back on again. So we've got the Williams of Noxie fighting with SNL Jam there. Oh, just really getting the elbows out there, Noxie, and pushes SNL Jam back and says, I'm having this place, thank you very much. Which is fair enough, as Noxie's on a fresh set of softs at the moment, whereas SNL Jam's currently on a few lap old softs themselves. Noxie with a lot more fuel. So another yellow flag at the moment. Which driver do we have here? We'll just look down the grid at the moment. So Tommy Payne's out in the wall. I'm not sure what has gone on there, or whether they're continuing to race, because there doesn't seem like any action is being paid attention to come back onto the track. We'll see what ends up happening. They may have had a bit of a malfunction, whether their controller's disconnected or their steering wheel and pedals. Who knows? Hopefully, somewhere in the chat we will be able to see what's gone on with that one. No, at the moment, currently nothing. But it is causing this yellow flag around that area, which the drivers do need to slow down for. So Digweed into the pits as suspected. This was the other Red Bull. Now, the question is though, what tyre compound is Digweed going to go for? Will they keep the hards on actually and just go for a refuel? There's a very good chance that maybe they may have hit the do not refuel button or finish refueling a bit too early, which is why they only got a small amount of fuel. So yeah, look, they've put on a fresh set of hard tyres and they've gone for a full tank. So I can easily see Digweed seeing the rest of this race out. Cthulhu at the moment out in front with a 31-second lead over Noxie. Plenty of time for another pit if they need to. I do believe Cthulhu still needs to do the hard tyre. At the moment they've opted for 2 softs. So we'll see whether they'll, as I'm suspecting, try and build up enough of a lead on these softs such that they can come into the pits for the hard tyre and still stay out in front of Noxie on the hard tyre. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure if Noxie has also already gone on for the hard tyre. They will need to, but they've got... Ooh, we've just had one of the Guesties there. What has happened with Guesty? I think it looked like they were having a bit of a lunge on SNL Jam. So let's go on board there. They're just about in the slipstream of SNL Jam. Oh, they left that braking very, very late there, I think. Didn't quite catch they had a lot more speed going into that first turn after getting a lot of slipstream from Jam. Did very well not to collide with Jam, actually. Took the inside line. I think Jam may probably have been paying attention and had the sense to be thinking, you're going a bit quick here. I might just duck out the way and let you go on sailing by. Might even wave as they pass. But Guesty now dropping down to 4th. Still a good position though, with Paleshi in very close in 5th behind, both on new-ish sets of softs. And both pretty new drivers. Paleshi setting is on their debut today. I believe Guesty had their debut last week. We'll see how they get along. At the moment though, SNL Jam into the pits, which means Guesty and Paleshi now jump both up. 37-second lead we've got from Cthulhu. Yeah, I think the car of Tommy Payne still hasn't moved, so I'm not entirely too sure what's happened there. Alexis Maximus also into the pits. It's Alexis Maximus of the Mercedes, the teammate of Digital Blasphemy, who's currently running in 5th at the moment, also in the Mercedes. Now I think the race is more or less strategy-wise done for Cthulhu. They just need to make these softs last for them. They've got a quarter of a tank left to play around with it. Once they're done, they can pit, and they should come out ahead of Noxie. Noxie also on the softs. I don't think they've gone for the hards, so they won't be able to put much of a battle to Cthulhu. And all the while, that gap, that 37 second lead, almost now 38 seconds, is just growing and growing. Now, about halfway through the race, after everyone has done their pits, we've got Cthulhu in first on lap 27, Noxie in second, Guesty in third, Paleshi in fourth, Digital Blasphemy coming in fifth, sixth we've got SNL Jam, seventh is Digweed, Jacques Jajar into eighth, Alexis Maximus and Mercedes in ninth, Pheasant Plucker in P10, 11th is GT Racer, and Tommy Payne's still down in 12th, unfortunately. They did have a bit of an incident at the beginning, sticking with the hard tyre there. Not a lot of grip, unfortunately, with that hard tyre. I think a number of these drivers are really struggling with the hard tyre, probably wanting to avoid it as much as possible. I suspect that is definitely what Cthulhu will want to be doing, is leaving that hard tyre as late as humanly possible, and then throwing them on right at the end, maybe lap 50, 51. Throwing them on just to fulfill that requirement, but steering well clear of them, just because we know that those hard tyres are not the grippiest things. They certainly go a very long distance, but not the grippiest things. Let's have a look. So we've got a battle at the moment for 5th position between Digital Blasphemy and SNL Jam. SNL Jam all over the back of Digital Blasphemy in that Mercedes. Coming up to the last... Ooh, was that a bit of corner cutting we saw from Digital Blasphemy there? We'll have to wait and see, because as we come through the last few stages, SNL Jam's going to want to really try and stay close behind, really hug the bumper as they come into the start-finish. If we go on board with SNL Jam, I think might just be close enough to the back of Digital Blasphemy. Might not be in line for an overtake here, but can certainly make up a lot of distance to the back. It's quite the Goldilocks situation you have here, where if you get too close to the car in front, you end up in dirty air, which is not great for the downforce, and you end up losing quite a bit of speed. Same with your tyres. Your tyres really suffer a lot with the additional heat, but they're just not able to be cooled down from the wind passing over them. And so the idea is you got to get past them as quick as possible, which is what makes this track so great, is that on that last corner, if you can try and hang on to the bumper of the car in front, then almost always guaranteed a change of positions by the time you get to the end of the start-finish into turn 1. Cthulhu up to now 44-second lead, certainly with enough time left in them that they can make that pit stop with absolute ease and with some time to spare, which is exactly what they want to do. Surprisingly though, the Red Bull, who were first and second earlier on in this race, Digweed, now being blue flagged by their teammate of Cthulhu. Digweed opting for the hard tyre at this point, doesn't want to come across the track. Ooh, I think there's maybe a little bit of confusion here, as Digweed did try to get out the way of Cthulhu's path, but I think, yeah, being blue flagged here needs to let Cthulhu through. I know they are teammates. Yeah, we go. What a great place. Doesn't quite ruin Digweed's race so much, moving out the way there. Just takes that outside line, but lines them up. So we've got Tommy Paynes, I believe, the Aston Martin there. Just moving out the way, also being blue flagged. But Digweed just nicely steps aside for their teammate. Cthulhu then, I think they can keep this up. They got quite the lead. Yeah, 44 seconds. Fuel lights now kicking in. So they will have to pit. We could see Cthulhu take lead of the championship for the Drivers' Championship. Noxie into the pits as well. We'll just stay on board with Cthulhu through these last few corners, and we'll just maybe let's keep an eye on what tyre choices they're going to end up going for. I suspect they may opt for the hard tyre, and that would be them done for the rest of the race. But equally, there's enough of a lead they've got that they could keep the softs on, maintain that lead, and then jump on the hards a little bit later. But it's probably a safer bet for them at this point to keep. Oh no, they've gone for the softs. Did they start on the hards, I wonder, and this is them done? I'm not too sure. I thought they'd started on the softs, and so they've still got to use the hards. Only put in just over half a tank of fuel though. Now we've got a 15-second lead to Guesty, but if they've got to put those hards on, then they've got to pit once again. Guesty at the moment on just under a quarter of a tank, and with some rather ropey looking softs, so they're absolutely going to have to pit. Same story for Paleshi. Not so much for SNL Jam, but SNL Jam is some distance down the road from the rest of the team. So we've got about 17 seconds to them, 23. Okay, so it's about 47 seconds between Cthulhu and SNL Jam. I think there's enough time there in there for another pit stop. Depending though on what these other drivers do. So who is on the hard? Digweed on the hard tyre. This I'm pretty convinced is them done for the rest of the race. They have got Alexis Maximus fighting behind them, but Alexis Maximus on the soft and with less fuel on board. So Digweed probably might be beneficial to hold them up as much as possible, but shouldn't make too much of an attempt to hold them back, as Alexis Maximus will get through, but they will need to pit, in which case Digweed will just take that position right back again. So absolutely no reason to go out of their way to fight and defend that position. Paleshi into the pits. So Paleshi of the Williams here, down into fourth. We'll see where they come out and compared to their teammate Noxie, who is 25 seconds it seems behind them. Now, will Paleshi opt for the hard tyre? I am very curious to see. Yes, they've opted for the hard tyre, so that's also them done. They've gone for a full tank of fuel, whereas some of these other drivers didn't opt for the full tank of fuel. I'm wondering whether the Williams is a bit thirstier. We know that it's got a lot more grunt down the main straights, so maybe it's just a little bit thirstier than the other cars, and so needs that additional fuel on board, because I can't see them needing a whole full tank with only 20 laps left of the race. But we will see. So Cthulhu at the moment a 26-second lead over Guesty in second. Guesty is going to have to pit. Will they pit this lap or will they stay out? Those softs at the back are really looking rough. No, they're going to start just as they cross that start-finish line. They really have this fueling to an absolute T. Just as they cross the start-finish line, the fuel light comes on saying you've only got one lap left. That's fine. they've got the whole lap left to do to get all the way back around to the pits. It does appear that Tommy Paines has managed to make it back onto track after they were stuck in the grass for a little while. I suspect maybe they were having some difficulty with their controller. So we've got here currently a battle for 9th position between Jacques Jajar and Pheasant Plucker, I believe. Pheasant Plucker on the hards and Jacques Jajar on the soft, so not much of a race, I think, between these two. So interestingly, we've got Pheasant Plucker with just over a quarter of a tank there, but we had Guesty before go with a full tank of fuel with 20 laps left. I wonder whether Pheasant Plucker is going to notch, taking a bit of dirt with them, notch it down and really turn down that engine, particularly given that they've got a whole minute 19 between them and GT Racer in 11th. They haven't really got to push that car too much. They could turn the engine mode down all the way, have a lovely coast, take the scenic route, why not, through the rest of the course, and that will be them for the rest of the race, I think. Guesty now into the pits. My apologies, I think I said Guesty before. I think it was not Pellecci, that was it, that had come in with a full tank of fuel. So notice though, Pellecci has already used 1/8 of a tank, and they only pit a few laps ago. I'm starting to think that maybe these Williams are a lot thirstier than some of their counterparts. So it looked like one of the other cars just diving into the pits there. So yeah, that was Alexis Maximus coming into the pits. Cthulhu's still out now with a 40-second lead. They've done very well in managing their tyres the whole way through here. Took the lead early on in the race and have managed to maintain it. SNL Jam up into second, very good for SNL Jam. He currently sits 4th in the championship with 79 points. This second place, if they can keep hold of it, could see them take second place in the Drivers' Championship. They've only got 9 seconds, 9.6 seconds behind them is Noxie. Although Noxie, 68 points, they're sitting behind SNL Jam in 5th. So SNL Jam will do very well to make sure Noxie stays behind, but Noxie, having pitted a bit earlier than SNL Jam, has got a fresher set of softs on. Don't recall seeing them on the hards just yet though, and they've got under half a tank of fuel, so they, I predict, are gonna have to pit again. Ooh, what has gone on here? I think Tommy Paines had another bit of an off. We had a yellow flag there for a second. Ooh, I think must have just gotten a wheel on the grass there and has spun them right around. Again, a lot of difficulty with these tyres. As soon as you have one off, it takes a number of laps to actually clear that dirt off your tyres and get back to the level of grip you had before. All the while, you're still susceptible to then going off once again and just sort of restarting that vicious cycle of having no grip at all because you keep going off after you've done the first one. Not the best, but we'll have to see how they play out. At the moment, I think we had some... Does look like Digweed may have left their left indicator on. I'm not entirely sure they meant to leave that one on, but I'm sure at some point on the rather long straight they've got ahead of them, they can lean over, have a look, find that button, and switch it off. Once again, though, we've got Cthulhu behind them. I'm not sure what happened. I think Cthulhu, I believe, stayed out and went really long on those softs, whereas Digweed pitted quite early in favour of another set of softs, which meant that Cthulhu has just built up this awesome lead. I feel like they might be being held back a bit by the slower Digweed. Sure, they get a bit of a stream down the start-finish. Digweed will do try and hold back, just slip in behind. Don't want to take that inside line and upset Cthulhu's race, because they're doing very well at the moment. And as I mentioned, Digweed's got only 8.5 seconds, 15 seconds to Peleshi. So they've just got to keep this one on track, and they should be good, provided they don't have too many offs. Doing very well at the moment. Cthulhu up to 44 seconds. That's certainly enough time for another pit stop. SNL Jam 10.3 seconds, but their fuel light is now flashing on, so they're going to jump into the pits. We'll have a look, see what tyre choice they opt for, particularly late in the race here. We're already about 2/3 of the way through. It'll be interesting to see how many of the drivers opt for those hards this late in the race. We've already had Guesty and Noxie. Yeah, so we see there we've got SNL Jam now jumping onto the hard tyre. Cthulhu still out on the softs. Guesty also on the softs. Noxie also on the softs. So SNL Jam is the first of the bunch that's out on the hard tyre. And with still 1/3 of the race to go, Guesty and Noxie need to pit. I can't see them catching up to Cthulhu, but they certainly may have second place in the bag. So just passing one of the back markers in the McLaren there. They do need to be wary of Peleshi though. Peleshi is also on the hard tyre with some dirt as well. They are only 3 seconds behind. Ooh, I think they went a bit deep there. Maybe some of the cones have been knocked off where some of the drivers have gone on, meaning that corner is typically where the shortcut circuits, the alternative circuit on the Autopolis track, splits from the full length that we're currently racing on these Formula X's. The Porsche Cup Series earlier did the shortcut circuit, and that sort of hairpin there is where they both split. So I think some of those cones maybe have gone a bit awry, meaning that maybe the drivers are getting a bit confused as to which route they need to go. But you would have thought after about 38 laps they should have this track nailed down to a T. So we've got the Red Bull of Digweed 14 seconds behind. Doesn't feel like they're that far behind looking on screen, but apparently they are 14.5 seconds behind. Cthulhu almost up to a whole minute out in front, with absolute bonkers pace at the moment. They're being very consistent with this. No surprise that they currently hold the fastest lap time, 121.8, and their last lap was 122. So needless to say, they are quite consistent, although their fuel light has just flickered on, and they will need to pit either at the end of this lap, or if they notch the old fuel level down a bit, they might be able to squeeze another lap out of those softs, as they certainly did earlier in the race. But passing through the rest of these corners just before we get to the final corner. No corner names from what I could find. Don't know if anyone in the comments wants to comment on this, but they have stayed out. So it seems that maybe they're on a fuel save mode, or they missed the pits. One of those options, I think. Well, let's take a look at their rev. So yeah, if you look there, I thought they were short shifting for a second. No, they're running out there. There's a little bit of short shifting going on. I think they may be able to eke out another couple of laps before they need to go onto those dreaded hard tyres. But same story with Guesty. Got a lot of tyre life left. We know these Aston Martins can be very good on the tyres. I think their tokens have been well spent on weight reduction, so they can go much longer than some of the other vehicles can on their tyres. we'll see where that ends up leaving them. At the moment, though, Noxie in third. Tyres looking a bit worse for wear. Will they? Yeah, they're going to jump straight into the pits, particularly as their fuel light is flashing, taking some of the Armco with them, because why not? Does mean that SNL Jam now jumps up into third place, and we know SNL Jam already on the hard tyre, but less than a quarter of a tank. Very surprising. I would have expected them to maybe go on a bit of a fuel save and see them to the end of the race, but I think they're not going to be able to get 12 laps out of that, just over an eighth of a tank. I'll be certainly impressed if they do, however. Now, Cthulhu into the pits for what I feel is the last and final, rather, pit stop of the race for them. Now, what tyres? Yeah, they've opted for the hard tyres, which fulfills that requirement for them. And they still have a 58 second lead over second. I thought that Guesty would have eaten right into that, but apparently no. I think they may very well be home and dry. Oh, no, there we go. I think it just updated there. It came up with about 25 seconds, 28 seconds. Yeah, that is a bit more what I was expecting after that pit stop. So definitely looking at about a 30-second pit stop. But as I was saying, I think this is pretty much Cthulhu home and dry for the rest of the race. They've got enough fuel on board and enough tyre for days. Guesty, on the other hand, might need to really work to make those make that quarter of a tank last. Only 13 seconds between them and SNL Jam, and they only pitted a few laps ago, so clearly put enough fuel in that they thought would see them to the end. Either that, or they're going to go for another pit onto some more soft, or even the hards. I'm trying to think whether or not. Ooh, Digweed into the pits as well now. I'm trying to think whether. Oh, I think the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin there, Tommy Payne's getting out of the way of their teammate by taking the gravel road. Now, Digweed, having already used the hards, may very well throw on some softs, put in plenty of fuel on board. Maybe didn't need over 3/4 of a tank, we'll see. But whack the engine all the way to full throttle, and let's get some positions back. Although, having said that, there's 34 seconds between them and Alexis Maximus. Could be difficult. What is the state of it? Oh, yeah, Alexis Maximus is going to have to pit, I think, before the end of the race, so they can at least catch up to 7th position. But beyond that, could be a bit of a fight, which is a bit of a shame, as we did have a 1-2 for Red Bull and a 3-4 for Williams at halfway through this race. Haleshi also into the pits. Haleshi, having already gone onto the hard tyre, is most certainly going to opt for that soft just as soon as they finish refueling. Let's have a look. Yeah, here we go. So, onto the softs. Alexis Maximus in. Cthulhu into the pits again, it seems. I certainly would have thought that they would be done for the rest of the race, but with the lead that they have over the other drivers, it doesn't surprise me that they've sort of thought, sod this for a laugh, I'm not keeping those hard tyres on. I'll put some softs on instead. It does unfortunately mean that their lead has now dropped from what was about 30 seconds down to only 3.5 seconds, meaning they've really got to work for this to make sure they stay in first place. But they've managed to stay this far in front, and they got enough of a gap, so they're certainly capable of it. Who knows, maybe they were looking for a challenge as well. We're getting a little bit bored of being out there in front doing all the winning all the time, as most people seem to get bored of winning. I wouldn't know personally, but we'll see whether Guesty can put the fight to Cthulhu, as we've still got 9 laps left. Guesty and, not to mention, SNL Jam just coming around the back end of Digital Blasphemy. I did think that was the Mercedes, I think, behind Guesty of Digital Blasphemy, but I think that Mercedes is Alexis Maximus, who is quite some way down the line, as there's about 44 seconds between Guesty and SNL Jam. SNL Jam, he probably won't pit for the rest of the race. Guesty, oh no, Guesty unfortunately will have to pit. Stays out once again. I'm not sure how much longer they can stay out on this one, but they will have to pit, meaning the Cthulhu will quite easily get that position, that gap they had back again, and be open to 47 seconds. Could even pit for some more fresh softs, but they already have the current fastest lap of 121.8, which they set some time ago. Now, with less than 10 laps to go, as you probably have already worked out, we've got Cthulhu in first by some margin. Guesty still to pit, but currently in second. SNL Jam, it looks pretty much done for pitting for the race, in third position. Digital Blasphemy, who's just coming to the pits, was fourth. Noxy now into fourth, meaning Digital Blasphemy drops down to sixth even as Paleshi crosses the line and takes fifth place from them. Digital Blasphemy still in the pits, taking sixth. Alexis Maximus coming around the last few series of corners. Will they be able to get ahead of their teammate at Digital Blasphemy, or will, I think Digital Blasphemy is already out of the pits, so we'll see that number drop down. There was a Aston Martin there coming into the pits. CRL Digweed in 8th at the moment. Jacques Jajar of the Ferrari in 9th. Pheasant Plucker down in 10th with GT Racer in 11th and Tommy Paynes in 12th. Still on the hard tyre. Interesting, I think it's a bit too late in the day to try and make that long game run. I don't think there's enough laps left in the race for that, so might be worth just jumping onto the softs, have a little play around, a little feel for how things are going. Not sure if they'll be able to set a fastest lap, but not the what's the worst that can happen. So Cthulhu out in front with a 32-second lead. Guesty still out. No, my apologies. They have now pitted. I thought they were still out. They've gone for the hard tyre now. I would say this could be them for the rest of the race, but as we saw with Cthulhu, they came in and pitted again to go back onto the soft. But Guesty doesn't quite have that luxury of the gap that Cthulhu did to be able to come and do that, as SNL Jam is only 15 seconds behind, but yeah, 15 seconds behind and on a set of softs. Just clearing some of the back markers there. Well done to the back markers. I think they've been very good in just clearing the way as and when they need to. Haven't had any incidents at all today, which is always good. Some good sportsmanship going on there. So 45 out of our 52 laps, and we've got Cthulhu first, Guesty second, and SNL Jam in third. Newcomer Paleshi up into fourth with that Williams, and Noxy in the other Williams in fifth. They've got a 27-second gap behind Noxy. Interestingly, Noxy on the hard tyre and Paleshi on the soft. I know Noxy is a lot further up the board, currently on 68 points. So it wouldn't surprise me if there were some team orders to allow Noxy through in front of Paleshi. But having said that, Noxy is falling further and further back as Paleshi sets a purple sector there. Might even been trying to go for that fastest lap. But no, Noxy will still get quite a number of points for fifth position. won't bump them up quite as much as fourth place will, and they are vying for position with SNL Jam. There's about 10 points at the moment between SNL Jam and Noxy, with 78 and 68 respectively. Could Paleshi just bringing it back, allowing Noxy through just before the line, be enough of a bump? Noxy certainly got enough time behind them. 27 seconds ahead of Digital Blasphemy. I don't quite think 27 seconds is enough for a pit stop to jump onto some softs, but 27 seconds is enough to allow Paleshi to slow down, although they're up to 3.4 seconds, 4 seconds now even, of a gap. Might just have to leave it. Team Orders, I think, is long gone as they tear off into the distance. No, Tommy Payne's trying to limp their way across to the grass. I'm not sure. Not sure what happened there. I thought they'd go onto grass, try and get a bit more traction. You can get stuck in that gravel trap quite a bit. Know from previous experience with many a gravel trap. Cthulhu's still out in first. Not a ton of fierce battles going on at the moment. We do have both of the Mercedes of Alexis Maximus and Digital Blasphemy in 6th and 7th at the moment. Alexis Maximus is 6th in the championship with 53 points. And Digital Blasphemy is with 23 points in 12th. So, I suspect Alexis Maximus will want to stay out in front ahead of Digital Blasphemy, where they currently are at the moment. Which probably will definitely happen, as Digital Blasphemy is on the hard tyre, and Alexis is on the soft. Sort of a similar situation, I think, we have with the Williams of Noxy and Paleshi, taking a bit of grass with them there. I suspect they'll be pulling grass out of every duct on the car at this rate. A number of these drivers have cut a number of corners. So Guesty seems to be the only car in the top 3 on the hard, and with 4 laps left and only 10 seconds, I think they're going to have to stay out on the hard. They did, I think, have 15-second gap between them and SNL Jam. That's clearly come down a bit in that space of time. They did have a 151 at one point, so that's not great, and maybe where they've lost a bit of time. But 10 seconds, is that enough for the next 3 laps to keep SNL Jam behind? Sets a purple sector through Sector 1, despite being on the hard tyre. I'm very surprised by that. I was certain that for sure it was pretty much over for the hard tyres and setting any purple sectors, but clearly it is still possible. Now Cthulhu's soft's looking pretty all right there, and they've got a quarter of a tank, so easily going to make it to the end of the race. As we hit lap 50 now, the final closing stages. 9.5 seconds between Guesty and SNL Jam. Is that enough of a gap for Guesty to feel comfortable with, knowing that they're on the hard tyre compound, which is, as we know, less grippier than the soft? Paleshi, I know we were talking previously about team orders, maybe Paleshi was going to let Noxy through to grab a few more points that you get for 4th position, but Paleshi is just torn off into the sunset and has about an 8-second lead over Noxy. Noxy on the hard tyre, I think, just isn't able to keep up with the pace of Paleshi on the soft. It's quite peculiar that a number of these drivers, or teams rather, have opted for one driver to have the soft and another driver to have the hard compound. Still got a battle going on here between Digweed and Jacques Jajard. Digweed was running up in first and second at one point in this race. Dropped down a little bit after a number of pit stops. Ooh, Jacques Jajard getting a bit squirrely there. Not sure. I think came out of that corner, got the power on a bit too early, and we saw the back end just kick out. Not particularly aided. Ooh, who have we got? I'm not sure who we sent that yellow flag for. There was certainly a yellow flag. Oh. So I think, yeah, it was the yellow flag was for Tommy Paynes, who had spun out. Up to 35 seconds. I think Cthulhu probably could pit again if he desperately wanted to. It's maybe a bit of showboating at this point, this later stage in the race, as we're only on lap 51. Let's have a look at these three. So Alexis Maximus only 1.3 seconds ahead of Digweed. Seems to have dropped down a position. Trying to overtake a back marker, I think, there at the Aston Martin. Does so quite well, but now overtakes Alexis Maximus in the process. What has gone on with Alexis Maximus? Sorry, Digital Blasphemy even. Have they run out of... No. They've got damage to the front left and bumper, which is quite surprising. I did think that Digweed made such an effortless overtake of them. It almost seemed like they'd let them through by accident when trying to allow some of the other faster cars through after being blue flagged even. Now Digweed should get quite a good draft down here into turn one. That indicator's still going for them. Do they go for the inside line? No, they don't. The Alexis Maximus covering off that inside line very nicely there. Can they hold off as we come up to the final lap of the race? So we stay on board with our current leader. We've got Cthulhu, who's led, I think, the majority of the... we've got another yellow flag there. Not sure who's come off, but probably not going to upset Cthulhu's race. Leading a majority of... leading the majority of these laps. I think went for a bit of an early celebration there. Span right round, being a bit more sensible now with the waving down. Or fortunately they had quite the lead they did, otherwise that could have ended rather embarrassingly, as second would have slipped through, but they've got a damaged front wing to mash it. So Cthulhu is our race winner today. Guesty currently in second. SNL Jam 8 seconds behind. Did manage to bring that down, but as they cross the line, they too going for a little celebratory wiggle there as they come in second place. SNL Jam coming across the line in third, and on their debut as well, we've got Paleshi just making their way around the last few corners of the track. Ooh, getting a tiny bit of a wiggle there. Don't need to be pushing it too much, as they've got an 18-second lead over Noxie, their teammate. But here we are on their debut, finishing fourth. Very, very respectable finish there, as we have Noxie, their teammate of the Williams, coming across the line in fifth as they just round the last few corners. The rest of our drivers seems quite far behind. So there we have it, round 7 at Autopolis of Sunday Night League. We have our winner is Cthulhu. We will just wait for the results to come through. And once again, a massive congratulations to Cthulhu on an outstanding race, led for majority there by a fair margin, almost managing to get up to a whole minute at one point, a minute's lead. But if we go back over the race results, the fastest lap was also taken by Cthulhu on lap 23, so about halfway through the race with a 1:21.8. Very respectable time there. I think not quite the qualifying times we were seeing, but in terms of race pace, very well done. So VRC Cthulhu takes the win for today, and I suspect that may push them into the lead for the championship. Then in second we have Guesty, and in third, finishing off our podium, we have SNL Jam. Palashi making their debut, finishes in fourth, with Noxie in fifth, making up the Williams drivers. Alexis Maximus in sixth, with the Mercedes teammate of Digital Blasphemy in seventh. CRL Digweed comes home in 8th, followed by the Ferrari of Jacques Jajar in 9th. Pheasant Plucker comes back in 10th, with GT Racer in 11th. And Tommy Paynes finishes the rest of the order with 12th. Thank you all very much for watching today's race. We will see you next week, where we will be at he says, seamlessly, round 8, which is at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway for 100 laps. Should be a good race. And until then, hope you have a great week, and we'll see you this time next Sunday. Thank you all, bye for now.